This is Lake Diefenbaker, an enormous water basin in the midst of the Saskatchewan prairie. This massive body of water was created 60 years ago by forward-thinking people who saw opportunity.
It came as a response to some of the droughts and difficulties that Saskatchewan had with water management. It had its rivers flowing through it, but it wasn't getting to the places that it needed to, and a lot of farmers and a lot of communities were suffering.
Constructing the 6th largest dam in the world was a huge undertaking. It took 10 years and cooperation from all levels of government. But this was the generation that had seen the dirty 30s and survived the Dust Bowl. They knew that water meant everything. 50 years later, we face a new crisis. Fossil fuel use and other drivers have heated the planet in a very short period of time. The temperature increase is rapidly changing the natural order. There are a number of concerns about climate change. One is that hot air holds more water than cold. More water in the atmosphere creates superstorms. Hurricanes gain power. In some areas, more rainfall and flooding. In others, the opposite.
And realize that there's going to be ups and downs with this. There's going to be years of great variability, and that's one of the things climate change is. It isn't just necessarily warming over time. It's fluctuations. It's drought. But it's also flooding. And so, how do you manage those two extremes?
Many places could not prepare in time. Major cities face water shortages. Aquifers and reservoirs are running dry.
And cities like Regina and Moose Jaw are on the front lines of that because they need this, like today. It's not something where they have to worry about catastrophes down the road. They're looking at water shortages and issues like currently.
Those cities get their water from Buffalo Pound Lake.
It has sedimented in over the years, and really my term would be a glorified slough right now. It's not a deep lake. But certainly for the city of Regina and city of Moose Jaw, absolutely imperative that they be assured of a clean supply of potable water.
Wherever people are, they need water. Wherever people work, they need water. So the mystery is, where is the water going to be? And how do we adjust? Irrigation and drainage have been used to sustain life for thousands of years. Today, they're seen as the key to adapting to climate change.
With water shortages around the world, Saskatchewan really is the last major area with suitable soils and water for large-scale irrigation construction.
Fed by the South Saskatchewan River, Lake Diefenbaker has a full supply level of 9.4 million cubic decameters. Feasibility studies repeatedly show ample waters to irrigate an additional 500,000 acres and up to 1 million.
In a wet year, irrigation would only take a small percentage of the water because of the natural rainfall that would occur. In a really dry year, in a drought year or a succession of drought years, we would still only use 18%, I think, is the figure of usable water supply from Lake Diefenbaker. So even if we have another drought for a number of years, we can continue to irrigate those acres, and anyone downstream is assured of ample water supply indefinitely into the future.
Blessed with this abundance of water and appropriate soil, Saskatchewan has an opportunity to help feed the world. On average, irrigation doubles crop yields in comparison to dry land. Compared crop to crop, staples like canola and wheat show a substantial increase in income. But the really impressive growth comes from crops that can't be grown without a reliable source of water, like potatoes. A comprehensive 5-year study drilled down into a government investment in 8,400 newly irrigated acres. Farmers consistently fared $495 per acre better.
That could be a 400% increase in your income in a year, right? So you imagine how much more spending can be done. They had an extra $60 million to spend out of their pocket at the store, at the grocery store, on clothes, on extra storage for their additional crop, et cetera, right? And there was also $27 million spent on additional farm inputs, so extra chemical, extra fertilizer.
Outside the farm gate, the return to the province was 188%.
For every dollar that the government has invested in irrigation, if we imagine that $1 has gone to the farmer in increased production, $1.88 actually goes to the province.
I mean, the economic benefits would be massive. We'd be looking at large bumps in GDP. We'd be creating, value-add industries. We'd be creating livelihoods for thousands upon thousands of people, and food never goes out of style. So, I mean, if we can create something that's the bedrock of human civilization, I mean, we're not subject to the ebbs and flows of resource prices climbing and falling.
The Canadian prairies are warming faster than the global average, but this rapid increase has one unexpected benefit. The growing season is getting longer, which means Saskatchewan can grow more.
One of the real opportunities is higher value cropping. And when I say higher value cropping, I mean things like soybeans, things like corn, things like beans, vegetables. Horticultural crops, I think, have a huge potential, provided we have moisture.
With a longer growing season, a province that currently imports millions of pounds of vegetables every year will be able to irrigate and grow virtually any crop.
We're a family farm located north of Outlook, Saskatchewan by about 30 kilometers. We grow 215 acres of fresh vegetables for fresh sale. We sell our vegetables at 8 farmers markets a week, and we also supply co-ops across the prairie provinces with a few of our products.
Erlinson's farm grows 60 varieties of vegetables, many of which were previously available only through international trade.
I don't think we can grow vegetables in this province without irrigation, not on an annual basis, not consistently. For instance, the crop we're standing in, celery right now, we water this just about every single day of the week unless there's been a major rainfall. We do a lot of transplanting in our operation. So we take small plants from the greenhouse, put them in the field, and we couldn't do that without irrigation because as soon as we're done planting them, they have to be irrigated. I wouldn't grow vegetables in this province anywhere without irrigation.
The farm is located in the Lake Diefenbaker Basin. This zone has benefited from irrigation for decades and can count on the water flowing every year.
It's had some of the robust growth in the province for years. Much longer than any boom or bust cycle. And what is the X factor? It's irrigation.
With vegetable production powerhouses like California constrained by lack of water, Saskatchewan has an opportunity to fill sustainable food production for large export markets. A Canadian irrigation success story is just one province over, where Alberta invested heavily and is seeing the benefits.
The value adding, the 2 or 3 potato plants that they have now, French fry processing, the livestock, the bean processing plants and sugar beets, and what we always call it in Saskatchewan, the drive from Medicine Hat to Lethbridge, the Silicon Valley of irrigation.
Alberta irrigates 15 times the acreage with just 1/4 of the water available in Lake Diefenbaker. With just a fraction of Saskatchewan's potential, Alberta adds $3.6 billion to their GDP through irrigation.
Alberta has a long history of institutionalized infrastructure development, meaning they're used to their public dollars going to help develop the industry, and until the industry was able to sustain itself and continue going on. And that started way back in the early 1900s. Like it's been like that for a long time. That's a key difference between Saskatchewan and Alberta, and that's where we need to get. We need to accept the fact that irrigation pays beyond the farmer. Irrigation pays to the province as a whole. And once we realize that and we contribute development dollars to it, I have no doubt that we can get to where Alberta is today, if not beyond.
An additional 1 million acres will mean 7,000 full-time jobs. More jobs mean more money for the province.
We employ 34 on farm, including myself, and then we employ another 15 to 16 off-farm at farmers markets and stuff like that. So it's right around 50 at our peak. Because some of the crops, such as potatoes and vegetables, and they're quite a bit more labor intensive, you need more people around to run the operation as opposed to a grain farm. It allows people within the community to find work. So I think it just, the population can be sustained or grown.
All this potential is the constant topic of discussion at the Canada-Saskatchewan Irrigation Diversification Centre in the town of Outlook. The centre is a unique federal, provincial, industry, and university partnership. It has worked to create an even and fair discussion between researchers and growers, creating a back-and-forth conversation that enable both sides to speak and be heard. Doing this balances out the business and science sides of agriculture and fosters a deeper knowledge for both.
We're there to consolidate the voices and try and provide some vision and connect expertise, make the connections so that our industry can thrive.
CSIDC is embracing exciting new technologies like solar pivots, moisture sensors, drone technology, and variable rate irrigation. They lead us to increased energy efficiency and lower greenhouse gas emissions.
Improving water use efficiency by using less water, growing more crop per drop. All these kinds of technologies help reduce the energy used and improve the amount of crop material that's produced. And so, you're in essence increasing your carbon sink in that form.
Drought proofing will begin with two major projects. The first, the completion of the West Side Canal System and Reservoir at Conquest. The second, an upland canal to Buffalo Pound, will secure water supply for 250,000 people and a number of major industrial businesses. It will also add another 125,000 acres of irrigated cropland.
This is not something that's just a provincial priority. It's something that's worldwide, and it has to be, because life does not exist without water. Economies don't exist without water. Biodiversity doesn't exist without water. So if we really believe that these things are important, we have to make sure that we have a plan in place, that we start really being brave and putting in the infrastructure in place to be able to manage this water, to be able to take the excess and store it and distribute it when there's not enough.
If we're asking ourselves the question of how do we develop, how do we expand, how do we encourage and diversify our provincial economy, we need to make the investment.
There's tremendous resources in this province, and I think we're very well positioned to take a leadership role in irrigation and agricultural water management as we move forward.
At the farmers market level, every single year we think it can't get any bigger and we can't do any more, but the demand from the people just continues to go up, and that's been great. At the wholesale level, demand continues to rise.
Irrigation development is a win in all the areas that we talked about, socially and environmentally, economically. It's just sort of the right thing to embark on again, as we did with the construction of the dam.
Faced with even more daunting crises, we must act now to take advantage of this infrastructure. Our ancestors gave us Lake Diefenbaker. Now it's our time to use it.